Hello, I'm Gill, I'm from Beach Creative. Now Beach Creative, we do lots of arty things. It's an art gallery and we do workshops and all sorts of things, and artists work in our building. Now today I'm going to show you how to make a world in a box. Now the one I'm demonstrating isn't specially Christmassy, but you can adapt your box to have a lovely Christmas one, and then you can make the pictures like the ones that are on the front of the Christmas card that you got. Why don't we just remind ourselves of some of those lovely pictures and see if you can make some like that too. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to make a whole world in a box. And then you're going to use Mummy or Daddy's phone to take some pictures, and you will be quite amazed at the results. So what we need, so you've got to go and find this now. Each of you needs a shoebox or a box like this or something similar. It doesn't have to be as big as a shoebox, it could be a little bit smaller, but something like this. And a pair of scissors, safety scissors, mind. And you've got to be very careful with them, obviously. And a Pritt stick. So I'm sure you've got all those around the house. And a selection of magazines. Now I've got my boring old grown-up ones, like these. So I've got a whole section of magazines, and I'm going to cut out some pictures from them that I like. And also, when you get the shoebox, you might find you've got a few extra old bits of card or cardboard. Now these are very useful because, well, I'll show you later, it's hard to explain, but you can cut out pictures and you can put a little tab at the bottom and make them stand up in your box, and then you can see them right the way through. All right, so you nip off and get those things and we'll make a start. What you might like, instead of boring old grown-up magazines, a great thing to do is to use comics, old comic books, because they're going to be things that you like the pictures. You want to choose things that you can make a world out of. So it might be Frozen or any of those things that you really like. So if you've got a Disney comic or a comic with any of those kind of things in, one of your Aquilas, one of your Akitas, then that's going to be absolutely perfect. Okay? Right. Okay, so I've looked through my magazines and I've cut a few pictures out that I think I might be able to use. I'm going to use that as a background. I've sort of decided from what I've found that I'm going to make a scene with an industrial setting in the background and a country setting in the foreground. And in a minute I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So at the moment I'm just working on the backgrounds for my box. Okay guys, well, I've been having a bit of fun cutting and sticking for the last 10 minutes, so I'm going to show you what I've been doing. So here's my box. I've got a little hole here that actually came with the box, but otherwise you make a little hole one end so that you can see through it and point your camera through when you're going to take the photos. Okay, now what I've done is here I've cut out a few pictures. I'm going to make a scene, so a sort of country scene with the city scene in the background. So what I've got here is I've done a background here. So we've got the background cityscape. We've got other side, we've got a country type of scene, like an allotment. I haven't got any pictures of grass, so I've just stuck some green tissue paper on the bottom of the box. Ditto with the sky. Haven't got any sky, so I've just stuck a bit of tissue paper on there, or you can just paint it if you want. It's just as easy, and put clouds on or whatever, a few flowers in the grass if you like to. You can just make it up as you go along, really. So what I've ended up with is this. Now, what I was trying to explain in the other bit of the video was this idea of putting things in the foreground and having something where you can, make it stand up. So I've put this picture, I've cut it out along quite roughly along the top, and I've stuck it onto a piece of cardboard, and there's a flap there so that it'll stand up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that inside my box like this. Oh, another thing I've done, because I didn't have enough pictures of the countryside, instead of actually having to draw them or paint them, I've got I managed to get hold of a sheet of shiny paper. Do you see that? You can see it's reflective. It's a piece of reflective card there. It's really good for when you look in the box. It'll make it look twice as big as it actually is, a bit like the TARDIS. So this is my scene. This is going to be my scene. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some butterflies and bees and things like that, and or maybe birds. I'm going to have them hanging from the ceiling, so I'm going to stick them through here on a little thread, and I'm going to have things stuck on these card pieces to stick up like that, so that flowers and things like that, so that I'm going to make a nice little kind of rural country allotment scene. Okay, so let's see what happens, hey? Oh, look at this. I've had a stroke of luck. While I've been making the insides of my box, look, I found all these lovely sparkly things that I've got in my craft box. So I use them as sequins to sew onto dresses and things like that. But if I scatter them on the bottom here, they'll look like fallen leaves and flowers. They're lovely, aren't they? And here's even more luck. I found these lovely squares of shiny paper, different colours of shiny paper. Look at those. They're gorgeous, aren't they? And I can make some different coloured birds with those, with the origami technique. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. I've made, look, a giant birdie at the back, a purple one. And it's not as difficult as I thought, as I could have made it actually. What I've done is I've stuck his tail to the back wall there, so he looks like he's flying. And the same with these other two little birdies here. Can you see? I've made two oregano birds and just stuck them to the side of the walls there, so that they look as though they're flying. And it did occur to me that if you don't want to spend a lot of time making additional things, you can use anything that you've got. You could use little Lego figures. I've got this kind of giant mouse here that Kath made me, a little knitted mouse that I have in my studio. So I'm going to pop him in there. So we've got a giant mouse, we've got birds. I think I might put my mum's little shiny owl in there as well. So you can make yourself quite an interesting little scene from very little. Here we go. So I've got another little cutout here where I've taken some flowers and cut just quite roughly around the shapes, the edges of the shapes, and popped a little flap on so that I can stick it onto the bottom of the box. Okay, I've gone a bit bonkers now actually. I've got rather a lot in here. I've got my mum's little owl here. I've got a little model of a pussycat. And I've got a giant robin at the back, which is a bit bizarre. Now, I don't know how these pictures are going to work out, but here's the next step. Right, now once you've got your scene together, the trick is you can take some photographs of it. I'll show you some photographs of it when you haven't got any kind of light on it at all. But the idea is that you can change the light sources and get very, very different photos. So what I've done is I've made some holes. There's a hole here, and I've made a hole here, and I've made a hole around the side here. Okay, and what you can do is you can change the various light sources. So if you've got a torch, like Kath lent me this torch, and then you close the box and you put on the light source like that. Can you see? And I'm just popping. It's very hard to do this, and so I've lit the box up, and if I just come a little bit close here, you can see that it looks quite a different picture, and you can move the light source around in the box so that you get different effects from different places as well. So if I pop the light source around the side there instead, can't see it very well, but you'll get different sources. Okay, so I've made a few holes around the box as I showed you. We've got the hole at the front and various strategic points that might offer you an interesting view around your box. So you might cut a hole here as well, or here, and have different angles to photograph your box. You're going to get a different sort of picture. So what you need is a torch, and you need maybe, I mean, you could use the light on mummy or daddy's phones and things like that. The more light sources you've got, the more variety you can get. Now, do you remember in your bedroom you've got those LED lights? Hang on, where are they? Here they are, these. Now, one thing you could do is strategically place them inside your box and turn those on, and then put additional light sources in. So there's lots of things you can play with to get very, very different images. Now, one of the things you could use is you could decide to have a Christmas theme box, for example, and have lots of little Christmas figurines in and some tinsel and little fairy lights and stuff like that. And then you could make your own Christmas cards, couldn't you, by maybe selecting an image and getting mummy to show you how to do that on Moonpig. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? So lots and lots of things you can do with it. I hope you managed to have a go and have fun. See you soon. Bye. So bye-bye. Have fun. Have a brilliant Christmas.